guys, live here at Pro Play Games with myself, George Machado. I actually decided to participate in the Origins Game Fair Regional hosted by ARG. It was a fun-filled weekend, 5 days, of Dragon Ball Super. We played everything from Tournament of Power drafts to Team Wars to 2 regionals. First time in DBS history there was 2 regionals. This was a Bandai official event organized and executed by ARG, so shout out to them. Ran very smoothly, and it was one of the first regionals we've had in a while. Last regional being San Jose in California. This was a brand new event with Tournament of Power legal, so this was the first big event that Tournament of Power actually did something, and it was a big one. So in Saturday's regional, I actually decided to play U7 Veggies, which was a little bit different from what I played on Sunday. It was a new idea Justin Rios and I had worked on the night before. I didn't get too much testing on it, and I'm not very good with picking up decks right off the bat. Justin Rios showing his flexibility as a player, Magic Pro Tour player. Just picked it up really fast, got a 2nd place finish in the regional on Saturday with the deck that we had just built the night before. So super shout out to him, props to him. I wasn't able to take it home on Saturday. I had a really bad record. But coming back Sunday for the 2nd regional, I felt really comfortable with the U7 deck that I had been testing a few weeks before. The reason I didn't play it for the event, I wanted to come in with a surprise. I wanted to come in with a surprise deck, and I thought the U7 Veggies was a huge surprise. And it was very powerful. I just didn't have too much playtesting with it. So I played with something that I was much more comfortable with on Sunday and actually took 1st place in that regional. Without further ado, we're gonna get to the deck profile. From Tournament of Power, it brought us a brand new leader, Frieza, Golden Frieza, the final assailant. This is brand new from Tournament of Power. It has a really unique ability, kind of similar to Cell, where you exchange 1 card for 2 cards. So you discard a Universe 7 and you draw 2 cards. So really powerful effect. It does not draw an attack or anything like that. It does untap. It does untap energy when it flips. It's not one of those leaders that like you flip and you draw 2. So it's kind of unique because it doesn't have a draw ability when you attack, and it flips to energy. So most people looked at it and said, maybe not, but very powerful because it does give you a lot of filtering through your deck. It does have the restriction that it has to be a Universe 7 that you discard, and there are a limited number of Universe 7, of course, so it's not the best, and sometimes you do miss it. But in a dedicated pure control version like we were playing, you don't really miss. But the Golden Frieza on the back, same exact thing, except this one also has the ability of resting a creature. So very good, especially in this version of the deck, because you get to tap down a blocker when you're going for game, or you can tap down a Kaba to take it down in battle. It's just a very useful ability all in all. So that giving that extra tap ability just makes this deck, it brings it way over the top. So that's pretty much it for the leader. Oh, also it doesn't draw an attack. That's also very relevant. So sometimes you don't even attack with the leader at all, like during the whole game. Maybe you get like 2 or 3 swings in, but that's it. Now I'm gonna start with I want to say the utility cards are what really bring another dimension to the deck. Of course, we play Universe 7 cards, but I think the biggest thing that this deck has is its support system, and I think #1 support system here is Objection. Objection out of set 1, very powerful because in this deck you're seeing a lot of cards. Usually the bad thing about Objection at the beginning was like, I don't want to make my hand size low, I don't want to lose advantage, just to further my energy. In this deck, you'll gladly trade cards for energy. So Objection does that, and it gets those extra cards into the energy, and it furthers your game state because this is a control deck. So this is a deck that you want to go late game with, and Objection really helps you get to that late game much faster than your opponent. Going first with an Objection usually puts you 2 energy, above, or puts your opponent 2 energy behind, which is insane. So that's the first event card that we chose to max out on. The other event card that we decided to play but not max out on is Flying Nimbus. Very powerful. It's very good against Veggies in particular because they like going wide. So being able to negate an attack and then just leave them with only 1 or 2 attacks max if they play around the Flying Nimbus by not attacking with their leader, that does leave them with 2 attacks, but that's more than enough because you play Master Roshis in this deck and you can negate another attack if you need to, and you play blockers in this deck so you can also block another attack too. So essentially you can set them off for the whole entire turn if you have a Nimbus, a Roshi, and a blocker. But very powerful because you do run a lot of yellow cards, and it is yellow energy, so very, very needed and necessary in this deck. Next in the support system, but it's also a U7 card, Master Roshi, Forged of Will. This is a 1 mana negate, 1 energy negate, and it is also a 5k combo. So that's actually very relevant in a lot of matchups. It does make your leader a pseudo 20k essentially, so you get a negate and a 20k in the next battle. Very powerful. It's a 1-drop. It's a yellow, and just overall perfect because it is a name as well. So we maxed out on that. It makes an aggro matchup much easier because you're playing like 7 negates in this deck. So super good to play. Next card we maxed out on, the other event that we maxed out on was Universe 7 Representatives. Now, this card is very powerful, brand new from Tournament Power, just like all these Universe 7 cards. It looks at the top 7, and it fetches you any Universe 7 card. This is actually a Universe 7 in all areas, so you can actually discard it for the Frieza ability to draw 2. And also, you can search itself with it, so you can go Universe 7 Representative into Representative into Representative into Representative if you really wanted to. But this is your main searcher in the deck, and this lets you see the most amount of cards. So when you're looking for that Goku piece or you're looking for that Frieza piece to go into your ultimate lineup, then this is an actual really good card. It also searches you for the energy that you need. A lot of the times you need like a blue for Objection or yellow for Flying Nimbus. Very powerful card. And then on to another utility card, which is very powerful. Every deck, I think, needs to have that one energy card that searches the top 3 and gets something that's really vital to your strategy. And in this deck, it's ready to fight Son Goku. Looks at the top 3, adds a Universe 7. It can search itself. It can get Universe 7 representatives, which is really good. It can get hit off the top with Gohan, which I'll talk about later. And the last, one of the second to last parts in the utility part of the deck is Mass Saiyan the Mysterious Warrior. This is the only Overrealm card that we decided to go with, and it's a really good one at that. It does give you the Overrealm 5, so you need 5 cards in your drop area, which normally would, most decks will get off to 5 cards in the drop area by like turn 3, 4. This deck can get it as early as turn 2, I believe. If you do like some unnecessary combos, you don't need to do too many unnecessary combos, but I've been able to do it, turn 2, turn 3 if I really need to. But very powerful because it does clear the veggies, it does clear the King Vegeta before they're able to evolve. And it's a double striker. I actually use this to go for game a lot of the times because it is one of the very few double strike methods that you have in the whole entire deck to finish off your opponent if they are at 2. Last part in the utility engine is the super combo. I consider super combos in every deck a utility for the most part. This one is a name, which is 90% of the reason why we play this. I did alternate between Shigesh and Kid Goku. Ultimately, I found this one the most useful just because it is, the access to it is much easier. Like being able to dig for a super combo off of Universe 7 representatives, or even pitching this to Frieza, which, it does happen, then it just makes it insane. You could also play it from the top of your deck with Gohan as well, so that's really relevant. So the next one we played only 3 of. Now this deck has a lot of things to do on turn 3. On turn 2 you could really just Objection or play like 2 1-drops or something like that, but in this deck on turn 3 you have so many different things that you can do, which is what I really like. It gives you a lot of flexibilities. Your turn 3 is very important because your turn 2 is usually Objection, and your turn 3 you have a 3-drop open and an energy, so it's very good to be able to play the 3-drop that you need to depending on the matchup. Now this is a control deck, so there's different 3-drops against different types of decks, and you have a lot of options, and you gotta sometimes search for the option that you really need. Now Focus My Son Gohan, we played him because 1, he's a blue energy, 2, it's very good against Cell, letting you play with an extra card, and 3, it's just Barrier. It's a card that cannot be removed from the field. So very powerful card. I love sticking this on 3 because it does give you the option against Bloodlust decks to play around their Bloodlust, because the ruling on this is your opponent does have to Bloodlust as soon as you activate the Activate main ability. So they essentially just have to blind Bloodlust, just how you have to blind Bloodlust at Shigesh. Same exact interaction. So once they do play the creature off the ability, it's too late to Bloodlust their auto. They can still Bloodlust the card itself, like Full Power Spirit Son Goku. You can still Bloodlust it so that they don't have the Activate main or the double strike, but they still get the auto, which is huge. I know against one of the Hill brothers, I played him, and he was, he Bloodlusted my full power, but I was still able to draw and untap an energy, which was huge. So very powerful card. Definitely recommended. I would play more if there was more space, but there's not. So Focus Mine Piccolo. that's one of the other few things that you can do on turn 3 in this deck. And the reason why we went with him, he's also a blue energy, a name of course, and very good barrier blocker. Gives you a lot of flexibility in the mirror match when they go for the Goku line, which is very they usually go for the Goku line, but this is very hard to get rid of. It can only be outed by the cold-hearted Strike Frieza. So it's just very powerful. It's also very good against aggro decks like Vegeta. Very tough to go fight through. A lot of the time it's energy. Like I said, you got to pick your turn 3 play. You can't obviously play every single card on turn 3, so that's really relevant. And then the final turn 3 play that we play in this deck is Destructo Disc Krillin. Shout out to Justin Rios, is probably his favorite card. But very good because it does give you removal, and it gives you Self-Awaken. So a lot of people will keep you at 5 in this deck. This will drop you down to 4, which is a sweet spot. You'll be able to awaken and do all that fun stuff. And it also provides removal for a Kaba or any of your opponent's other type of mini threats. You know, it could take down a Kaba in a 1-drop, which is actually really good, or a Khalifa in a 1-drop if you really want to. But this gives you a game against Veggies instead of it being so one-sided. It is very hard against Veggies for the most part, but if you have a lot of experience with this deck, it's pretty easy to outmaneuver them. Next, this is the big line of the deck, right? So we're gonna get into our win cons. And just like a control deck, you have a lot of role players in the deck, and then you have like your big trump cards. And this deck has 2 lines of trump cards in it. It's got the Frieza line and it's got the Goku line. So for the Frieza line, we only went a 3-3 split. First one in the Frieza line is Cold-Hearted Strike Frieza, which is actually really good just by itself. Really good against a Ginyu matchup because it does stall them for a whole turn by using the ability of discarding a Universe 7. Putting in the drop area and freezing 2 of your opponent's battle cards in tap mode, and it also goes around barriers. So if they do happen to have any barrier blockers out or anything like that, Apes this is significantly good against. It does not let them untap during their opponent's charge phase. So very powerful card, and it's got dual attack, and you can evolve over it. So really good, and it's a yellow card, so you can use it for your energy for the Flying Nimbus or discard for the Flying Nimbus. So very powerful. This is the line that you want to go against like any type of Shigesh, Kid Goku, Ginyu deck for the most part, because they do have an out to your Goku, so you don't want to play into it. Sad faces only have 2 of the SPR, but 3 Frieza Emperor of Universe 7. This is your win con against the Shigesh decks, just because they play so many autos and they hurt themselves very fast. This is going to punish them in the late game when they're down to like 2 or 3 life. This makes them crit themselves every time that they activate an auto. This also automatically makes all their autos optional, so they can actually choose to resolve autos or not. The only downfall to this card, honestly, making your opponent choose, but still very powerful because it is a 30k body, and it has triple strike, so it goes for game 100% of the time. And then EX evolves for 1 instead of the Goku, which EX evolves for 2 Universe 7s. This EX evolves for 1 energy and 1 Universe 7. The other one is 1 energy and 2 Universe 7. So you got your trade-offs between. This one costs a little bit less on that side, but the significant part is that Goku also untaps an energy and draws a card. So you got your trade-off between both. But there are matches that you go into this lineup, and then there are matchups that you go with the other lineup. But having the option is just insane, especially when you have like so much draw power in this deck. And then for the Goku line, we play 4 of the full power Spirit Son Goku. I think this is one of the best things that you could be doing on 5, even though you don't go into the combo, just because it draws you a card, untaps an energy, and it's a 25k double strike body that's really a threat. Oh, not to mention that it does have a main ability that you can take 2 life to your hand and give it plus 10k for the rest of the duration of the turn. So very powerful. That addition does move on as you level up on the Gokus, so that it will sustain that plus. So if you want to do that like 3 or 4 times, I'm sorry, I think you can only do that like 3 times without killing yourself. But if you want to do that 3 times, every Goku that you evolve into afterwards will go and sustain that plus. Very powerful card. It's also yellow, which is fantastic, phenomenal for the whole deck. And then the final piece to that, well, the second to final piece, rest in peace, only got 2 of these SPRs as well, but the Son Goku, Hope of Universe 7, very powerful card. This is the way that you win against many other decks. It's just a huge body, 35k. It has critical, triple attack, not triple strike like the Frieza, but triple attack is still very good because you can choose what to attack. You can like clear the whole board if you really want to. The critical is very, very big, and the triple attack is also very big. The only bad part is that you have to discard 2 Universe 7s for this one. But being able to attack, not keep it rested, and not keep it like vulnerable during your opponent's turn is huge. And being able to attack, and then evolve another one on top of it and attack again, attack. You can do it like, you can keep evolving one over the other as you attack. So very powerful card. And then the reason why we play the whole Goku line essentially is for the secret rare, which is Son Goku, the Awakened Power. Only takes 1 Universe 7 discarded and 1 energy. So the main game plan of the deck is, you know, you're normally at like 5 life. You play the full power Son Goku in order to take 4 life, essentially netting you 4 cards, giving this plus 20k. And then evolving it with the Son Goku Hope of Universe 7 by discarding 2 Universe 7 cards and an energy. You can use that extra energy that you untapped with the Son Goku. Once you flip over your leader from 5 life to 1 life, you net another 2 energy. So this will use 1 more energy and another Universe 7. So essentially you'll net 1 energy after all this. And then you should have the 3 Universe 7s that you need to discard, 2 for this and 1 for this one right here. So that's essentially the victory strike part of the deck. It's very, very good against a lot of decks that don't have any response, like Shigesh Kid Goku. If they do have Shigesh Kid Goku, you just have to like be aware of it and play around it, and maybe go the Frieza line first. But very powerful deck. It does have a very unfair win condition against a lot of decks, but it is a control deck at the end of it, so it does play very slow. You're not doing anything turns 1 through 4 technically. You know, you can be doing things on turn 4, but it depends on what deck you're playing against, to be honest. There are times that you can get a turn 4 kill, of course, with this deck, but the likelihood is very, very low. Very good deck. It is one of the few control decks that we've ever seen in this game. I'm a control player myself, so I really love this deck. As soon as it came out, I was playtesting it. This is the deck that I playtested the most and I felt the most comfortable with. And it just has a huge power level against certain decks. And then other decks, you just have to grind it out, just like any control deck would fight out a aggro deck. So that was pretty much it for the deck. Thank you guys again for watching the deck profile. Once again, this was the Origins Game Fair Regional on Sunday. It was a best of 1 regional. It had about 80 participants in it, so there was still 6 rounds. I went 5-0-1, and it was pretty tough. I played against the Hill Brother. I played one against one of my PBG teammates, against a few notable players that were doing really well for the side events throughout the weekend. It was a very fun weekend, 5 days of Dragon Ball Super. I want to give a shout out to my whole entire team. They did fantastic. I didn't really, I didn't expect them to do so well throughout 5 days of Dragon Ball and not just be completely burnt out. So shout out to them. They need to have a lot of concentration, focus, and dedication to actually do something like that. So super proud of them. Thank you to everyone who came up and said hi. I gave out a bunch of like free stuff to some people at the event. They were really happy and grateful for it. So I appreciate that I can make their day better too. The prizes were fantastic. Really a step up for Panda on the prizes. Anyways, Series 4 is right around the corner. We're super excited. We're going to be pumping out some new content with Series 4, and we'll be doing some more deck profiles from this event. Thank you guys again for watching. Until next time, stay super.